And now, YouTube comments with Jacksepticeye.
Jack, you have a beard. Also, will you be adding back the cool shelves with cool stuff behind you again? I like that. First off, keen observation skills. I do in fact have a beard. Well, some would not agree with that, but I have some sort of semblance of facial hair attached to the lower part of my face, so yes. On the shelves thing, I'm not sure. I like the shelves behind me as well. I like the shelves, I like the whiteboard that was behind me and everything, but that was more to fill space in a giant room that wasn't designed for recording. It was also to try and liven up a really dull looking room because the walls were a really shitty cream color that I didn't like. But in here, it's a much smaller space. It's a much smaller room. And I have a very nice background now because this is super symmetrical looking and I love it because it looks really, really pleasing. My OCD is just going O-faced right now. So I don't know. I like the charm of having stuff in the background, but at the same time, adding shelves back into the background now adds a lot of clutter because this is a very unique, dedicated kind of recording space for me now, which I really like. That was the mic making noise, by the way, my stupid stand. So I really like that, and adding stuff into it now is just going to make stuff come off the walls, and if I have to record VR stuff, which is the main reason for not adding them back in, if I add shelves back in, it takes like a foot away from the room, and then I have the worry about smacking into shelves and knocking stuff off them and breaking things, whereas now I can just bounce around in VR as much as I want. So I'm not sure. I'm torn on it. I want them back, but at the same time I don't. So I'm not sure. Why is there a potato on my screen? Because you clicked on the video of an Irishman. And that automatically means that whatever you're looking at has a potato on the screen in some form or another. In all the clips that's taken me and removed me from any of my videos and had something else going on in the background, there's a teeny tiny pixel-sized potato somewhere on the screen at all times. Whoever disliked this is not human. The fucking dislike duck's back at it again. Hate those guys. Should I marry a watermelon or a pineapple? I don't know. Chop up that pineapple and stick it on a pizza and then you're fucking good to go. I know that technically means chopping up your significant other, but okay, let's not have any qualms about that. But at the same time, it's a lot easier to fuck a watermelon than it is a pineapple. Jack, did you see the remastering Shadow of the Colossus? I did. I'm so excited. I cannot fucking wait for that. No idea that was coming out. Nobody had any idea that they were remaking. It's not even remastering, I'd say. Well, I guess it kind of is. They're redoing Shadow of the Colossus for the PS4. They're using a different engine for it. But a lot of the assets might still be the same, so I don't know if you call it a remaster or a remake. I'm not sure, but I'm super excited about it. There's a lot of conversation going on now with people saying that they're ruining some of the art style of it because it looks too realistic now. I'm not sure I agree with that because I'm of the mindset that Shadow of the Colossus is my favorite game ever made. And when it comes to your favorite game ever made, no one ever thinks that their favorite game ever is going to be remade for current platforms. And then Shadow of the Colossus got that with the PS3, with the Eco Collection, and everyone was super happy with that. And now they're remaking it again. So for me, it's just like, why the fuck not? If it's worse than what came out before, who cares? You still have the previous version of the game that will still be better to you. If it's better than the previous versions of the game, then cool. It's win-win. If they butcher some things of it, who cares? At least they tried. I'm just happy that something else is coming of it because it's one of those games that has always sort of struggled to utilize the hardware it was on. It was always kind of held back by the hardware that it was on. So I'm glad that maybe they'll push it a small bit. I don't know, we'll see. I'm very excited about it. What if he did this and forgot to repress the record button? What if he forgot to repress the record button? I'm fantastic at speaking, but this has happened many times. There's a lot of times when I go to record something, and either the footage will break or corrupt or something will go wrong with it and I lose all the audio or all my voice or all the camera or all the game footage. But there have been times when I actually forgot to press record because I do a thing where I do a test record of the game or whatever I'm recording, and I'll start it up to make sure my hard drive spin up and my computer's running at full capacity, and then I'll go to make sure that audio was recording, there's no visual glitches or anything like that. So I record like 10 seconds and then go back and actually do the full recording. But sometimes I'll forget to hit it again for the full recording because I remember, oh, I pressed it 2 seconds ago. And that has happened. That's happened as recently as like 2 weeks ago. And I lost the complete entire footage. So it happens, man. Makes me sad, but you just gotta get back on that horse and try again. Thanks for staying humble, Jack. Now, don't let it get to your head. I feel like your comment kind of contradicts itself because you're thanking me for staying humble, but then you're also worried that it's gonna go to my head and I won't be humble anymore. But yeah, that's a thing that's always kind of cropped up whenever it comes to YouTube, is the whole humbleness and the humility aspect of things. To me, humbleness and humility are very attractive traits. Whenever you see somebody interact with somebody, if you ever look up to somebody and you watch them in an interview, if they're humble, if they have a nice sense about themselves and they're not egotistical, they're not douchebags, they're not narcissistic, that's always something that's more attractive to me. I always relate more to people like that. I like listening to them. I like seeing them have a passion for what they do and like be good at it and then not let it go to their head. That they can have a lot of success with it, but also stay very grounded about it all. And when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to this channel, the Jacksepticeye channel, that rose very quickly and way beyond what I ever thought it would be. And it grew so exponentially fast that it would have been very easy to fall down that trap of letting it go to my head. That there was, I went from having nobody care about what I made, and the very few people who did kind of had like strong criticisms, we'll put it that way, to say about my content, to suddenly having a shit ton of people care very heavily about what I did. And to some people, that can go to your head very quickly because it can start, if you have any insecurities before that happens, if you have any doubts about yourself, or if you ever have any sort of narcissistic qualities, that kind of huge success very quickly can exaggerate those qualities. And if you go from having nobody care about you to having everybody care about you, it can kind of become an addictive thing because you have so many people feeding you so many positive things all the time, which is fantastic, and I'm so grateful for that. But at the same time, you can start depending on that sort of, I don't know, there's a term I'm trying to think of in my head and I can't get to that point just yet. But when you get into that space and you just listen to that over and over again, instead of being self-aware about what you are and the reach you have and your actual value, then you start thinking higher of yourself than what you actually are. And then that becomes very dangerous. And I've always tried to stay away from that. I've always tried to dodge the potholes and dodge the speed bumps and everything when it comes to YouTube stuff, and try and stay within my lane, stay where I started, to do the best I can with what I have, and to try and lead people in a positive way. To try and, because when you get to this level, you kind of have a responsibility for the people who are watching your content, and I'm trying to lead people in the best manner that I can. If I can, if that's even a way to say it, but it's no secret that people look up to YouTubers. So I'd rather do something great with that in a positive way than let it all go to my head and then try and manipulate the fans and try and get something out of them. You mentioned Pringles. I had to go find Pringles. I now have Pringles. Okay, Brad, but be fucking careful with those Pringles, because once you pop, you never stop. Like, ever. Once you start eating Pringles, it never ends. I got lucky. I went on a rehabilitation for Pringles program that finally got me out and I'm clean. But just stay safe out there, man. Jack, my little girl, 8 years old now, has been watching for several years. Despite the vulgar, I let her watch you against her mom's will. I can't ever say to my little one, she loves you so much, she mimics your accent, and we live in Canada. Her name is Lydia. It would be so cool if you say hi to her. Not sure if this will reach you or not, but you are her favorite person on this planet. Cheers, my good man, Lydia and her dad. Dad, you're a cool dude right now. Thank you so much for that message. That really means a lot to me. This is what it's all about. This is the stuff. This is what keeps you humble. This is the stuff that keeps you grounded. And instead of looking at this and being like, yeah, I am fucking great, aren't I? It's looking at this and just seeing the humanity in it. Picturing yourself in that scenario and seeing these as people. That means a lot to me. And I'm so glad that you wrote this comment, because this really hits home for me. And hi, Lydia. Your dad's cool. And he did a very nice thing And yeah, I know the vulgarity and everything is a point of contention with people. That's a bigger topic for another day, and I've talked about this stuff before. But I don't know, you seem to be a cool dad, and I'm glad that she has you, and I'm glad that you share some sort of bond over YouTube at all. Whether it be me, or whether it be somebody else, or whether it be not YouTube at all, but the fact that you care enough to take an interest in her life like that and to reach out and write something like that is a really cool thing. And it's not something that a lot of people do. It's something that people think happens a lot, but not as many people do it as you'd think. So good on you. So you guys are cool. Hi, Canada. Is Jack dead? Well, if I am, I can tell you that death is the exact same as life. That you go through the exact same things. You go to bed, you wake up, you eat, you make YouTube videos, and you die in this fucking heat that we've been getting over the last couple of days. It's great. I love it. But when it comes to recording, oh my Jesus. Jack, I'm a big fan, but it'd be better if you didn't cuss so much. Dicks, 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 dicks! Fucking grass! There's a lot of things about this comment. I don't know if this is just a status update and you're legitimately just fucking grass right now. If so, more power to you. That or you just hate grass. You're just sitting here on the internet watching a reading comments video and you're just sitting there like, you looked out your window, you're like, fucking grass. Like it just occurred to you again. You've always hated grass, but it's just one of those things that just reminded of you right now and then. Great comment. Can you do a cooking with Jack episode? I've thought about this before because I like the idea of like cooking little video. Well, I like the idea of doing stuff that's not just the regular content I make and doing stuff that's different and doing stuff that, well, not so much challenging. A cooking episode isn't very challenging, but just something that goes against what I normally do. And I did do a cooking video with Sina on her channel. We just made pancakes and that was fun, but when it comes to cooking stuff, there's a lot of like different setup that needs to happen. I need to find like a good way of putting the camera down that actually shows the cooking aspect of things. I have to do it in a different room than here, which just leads to god-awful audio. And our house is not fully furnished yet, so there's just echo galore. So, I don't know, maybe someday it'll be fun to do. But I'm not opposed to the idea. I have no idea what I cook. Jack, just deflect all the haters with your luscious eyebrows. I don't think you could call these fucking fur demons to be luscious eyebrows. They're just a nightmare. They're just always there, all the time. And every now and then one of them will just break away and turn in the other direction. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Get back in there. But yeah, just, if any hate messages come my way, I'll just like double what The Rock is cooking. Deflect like Genji, just deflecting bullets with my eyebrows. That'd be a cool superhero. Legend has it, you can still hear Jax yelling in his old house. Yeah, that's a good point. Imagine, there's always that thing is like, man, if these walls could talk. I think I've yelled loud enough, consistently enough, and long enough in that old recording room that part of that has to be like in those walls. It's like when people try and fart into a jar and put the lid on. It's like, the smell is still in here. That's what the room is like. It's just like if you hold your ear close to the walls in that old recording room, all you hear is like, top of the morning to you, laddie. People just trying to fall asleep in that old recording room. It's just like the walls are screaming at them every now and then. Can you solve a Rubik's Cube? You know what? I'm sick of this discrimination against Rubik's Cubes. Something to be solved means that there's something wrong with it already. There's like a problem that needs solving, that you need a solution to. But Rubik's Cubes, all disheveled, all over the place, that diversity, that cornucopia, that cacophony. Cacophony's the wrong word. Kaleidoscope of colors that is on that Rubik's Cube is beautiful, man. Stop trying to put everything in its place. Stop trying to align everything to make it look normal. Just let the Rubik's Cube be in all its diverse glory. That's my way of saying that no, I can't. Is your body from McDonald's? Because I'm loving it. Is your body from McDonald's? Because it's okay, it's average, it gets the job done. It's questionable for my health and it has some very dodgy meat in it. Jack, when you're doing these comments, why do you always go on rants about serious life stuff when people want to hear the loud, rowdy, and obnoxious Jack? Well, actually, that's an obnoxious Jack, but when it comes to the reading comments video, I like to have everything in it. Well, everything as I can. I go through the comments and I try and pick stuff that's diverse and different. Because I have done episodes where it's just non-stop jokes all the time, and those are super fun. I really like that, but I think the core essence of what this series is getting to know some stuff about me, getting some jokes, some laughs, some giggles, let the pacing kind of pick up here and there, and then getting some serious moments where I actually answer stuff honestly. Because if it's just making jokes all the time, if I'm just loudy, loud, and obnoxious all the time, that's completely flat, boring, and bland, and nobody's going to want to watch that after a while. I know that's the thing that I'm probably most known for. That everyone knows me as the loud, green-haired dude on YouTube. And that's fine, to a certain extent, but people need to realize as well that there's a lot more to the channel than that. It's not just that stuff. So you can come for that stuff, but I also like to have some sort of a message behind things that I'm doing. It doesn't always crop up in the Let's Plays that I do, but every now and then, stuff will break away where there's a more serious tone to it. And these reading comments videos are a more condensed version of the whole, like, ideology of the channel. That there's immaturity, there's maturity, there's dick jokes, there's just loud, straight up, in your face kind of comedy, but there's also some subtle type of comedy here and there. There's some seriousness when it needs to crop up. There's some real talks. There's a bit of everything in it. Because sure, I can be immature when I want to be. I can make myself giggle. I make myself laugh a lot. I talk to myself a lot. I do all those kinds of things, but at the same time, I can sit down and I can be serious when I need to be. And I think that's what's needed every now and then. I don't want to become a one-trick pony. And I don't want people to see me as that either. That was part of the reason, that was part of the problem with Happy Wheels for a long time, because people knew me as the Happy Wheels guy. And then it was just, people knew me as the loud, screaming, yelling guy. Which again is fine to an extent, but if that's all they see me as, then I'm doing a disservice to not only myself, but to this community as well. Because I'd like to think that there's a whole lot more to it than that. So, if people only see me as these things, then it makes me feel like I'm not doing what I set out to do. So, something needs to change then if that's all they see me doing. Okay, well that does it for this reading your comments video. I'm glad this series is still going. And thank you guys so much always for leaving comments for these types of videos. I know a lot of you are just leaving comments anyway, not specifically for this series, but it really means a lot to me that you're all still out there, all still commenting, all still heavily engaged with this type of stuff. And I'm so glad that I get to sit down and read so many different opinions and so many different walks of life from people all the time. It's really cool. I really like that a lot. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you liked it, punch that like button in the face! Like a boss! And
High face all row.
whoosh, whoosh. Thank you guys, and I will see all you dudes!
It's been a long day. My voice don't high well anymore.